Well, hello, and welcome back to Soul Search Sunday on Sunday, March 30th, 2025. In Chinese culture, we have, why did I just say it that way? Chinese culture. Chinese culture, yeah, sorry, sometimes I get a little bit caught on the uh, overly European overtone. Sometimes in Chinese culture, there let me start that again. In Chinese culture, there is an old say that goes something like 见人说人话，见鬼说鬼话. Ah, this means if you are dealing with a human, then you need to speak human language. And then if you are dealing with a ghost, then you got to speak ghost language. Well, that's very simple, very straightforward, and totally makes sense, right? Now, in this day and age, there's a lot of people that just going to say, I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to change my way. That people who change their way depending on who they're dealing with, that's being two-faced. That's being fake. That's not good. Well, the sad thing is, in the society we live in, if you are going to be 100% yourself all the time, it's almost guaranteed you're not going to get very far. Now, some people say, well, yeah, but look at Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump is not the same Donald Trump 100% of the time either. Like, if you guys look at how he behaved his first presidency, how he's behaving second presidency, very different. Okay, Donald Trump talking to Justin Trudeau versus Donald Trump talking about Mark Carney, very different. Okay, it's not the same. I'm going to take what you have, no matter what you think, Donald Trump all the time, right? So even Donald Trump knows to tone that down once in a while, right? But we are not here to discuss Donald Trump. I'm just saying that even someone as powerful and rich and as full of himself as Donald Trump knows that there are times when you have to deviate from the real you and put on a different face, a slightly different face, and speak a different language and use a different approach, depending on who you're dealing with. So why is this relevant to today's episode? Because a lot of time, people, especially young people, run into trouble at the workplace. They wonder why people don't like them. They wonder why their higher ups, their supervisors, don't appreciate them, and they wonder why people who work for them don't like them, and why they lose to their competitors. Why there's someone who's just the same as they are, but that person gets more love, that person gets more appreciation, gets more job, get more money. Why? Why? Why is it that some of us are running into walls and painting ourselves into a corner at the workplace? A big part of that is that you have not learned what language to speak, what you should be in front of which group of people. So today I'm going to give you the formula, and hopefully this will be kind of helpful for some people. And maybe after this episode, hopefully that you will find it easier to uh, determine what you want to do in front of your boss, what you want to do in front of your competing coworker, and what you want to do in front of people who work beneath you, and hopefully things will get better. But with this said, before we begin, let me say this. These are generalized rules. These are basically a set of tried and true formula at workplaces. And it even can apply in relationships. Uh, etc., etc. But you have to have what it takes first, right? So you can't be totally awful at your job. You can't be totally slacking off, and then you go into work and expecting that you're just going to follow Johnny Tiger's workplace 101 and follow John Tiger's rule on how to deal with your boss and coworker and underlings and expect things to work out. If you're slacking off, if you're undercutting people, if you're practicing something illegal, if you have some unethical things you're doing, then I'm sorry. These things might not be very helpful to you because you are kind of messing up the very fundamental part of being a good person to work with to begin with. So, with that said, under the assumption of everyone watching this are good, honest, working people, good, honest um, office people, good, honest people who just want to do the best they can, let's look at the three levels of socializing and how to deal with people in a workplace environment. It's actually very simple. Like I said, there's only three tiers, three levels to this. So it's not a 10-step formula you have to remember. Only three. Okay? So let's take it from the top. Number one, when we are dealing with prospective uh, bosses, prospective supervisors, leaders, people who we need them to discover us, maybe prospective clients or customers, you want to make yourself into the prey. Yeah, the prey. Okay? You want to be not just any prey, you want to be that rare bird. You want to be that rare uh, beast. You want to be that eight-pointed buck or elk. You want to be that bull grizzly bear or that elusive wolf that people been talking about for many years. You want to be Fergus the crocodile that people be hunting for 40 years and still looking for. You want to be like Poco Pogo, the Canadian lake monster that, despite the millions of bounty on its head, it's still being sought after. It's still not caught, and people still look for it every year. That kind of prey. You want to make yourself into the prey. And you know what is the one thing that preys don't do? Is preys do not go walk in front of the hunter and say, hey, here I am, come get me. Why don't you get me? Come on, shoot me here. No, prey hide, prey run, and prey make it hard. So in a sense, you want to learn how to play hard to get. But with at the same time, you don't want to be hard to get, and no one knows why they should be going after you in the first place, right? Right? Like if you just say, okay, I'm just going to not do anything, I'm going to hide under my desk, so my boss will never see me, and this way, I'm the prey, and my boss will be more appreciative of what I do. No, you can't do it that way. Okay, like I said, you don't want to just be any prey. You want to be that prey that the hunter really wants. Okay, there can be other prey. There can be rabbits. There can be squirrels. But you have to be above that. You have to be that elk. You have to be that bear. You can't just be a raccoon. Okay, and how to make yourself into a desirable prey in a workplace, in a business world, in a financial world is that you have to create a vacuum. You have to create a shortage. Okay, when there's a shortage, then there's a need, and when there's a need, there's a demand, and when there's a demand, then people want to look for you. For example, let me take you back to the romance of the Three Kingdoms. Okay, we'll look at one of the smartest tactician of the Three Kingdoms. the minister of the kingdom of Shu. His name was Zhuge Liang. I know some people say Zhuge Liang in English, but no, I'm going to pronounce it the proper way, Zhuge Liang. Okay, Zhuge Liang, the minister of the Shu kingdom. Before he was the minister of the Shu kingdom, Zhuge Liang was just a scholar living in a little hut, waiting to be discovered. He was very smart. He had all kind of ideas about how to win battles. He had plans for how to rule the world, but no one knew about him. Okay, so what did Zhuge Liang do to create a vacuum? How did he make himself into that prey that at the end the king of Shu, Liu Bei, came to beg for him to please join our kingdom, please be my minister, please come work for me. Okay, the king himself came to this little hut to beg Zhuge Liang, not just one time, not just two times, three times, please come work for me, right? How did he do that? Well, number one, Zhuge Liang chose to live among peasants. Unlike other scholars, a lot of times scholars like to hang out with scholars. Scholars like to live near scholars. But if Zhuge Liang was to do that, then he would never have seemed very special. Because at the time, there were a lot of really smart scholars. Okay, there were many big names. Many of them were this minister, that minister, this minister's son, that minister's grandson. If Zhuge Liang was to stay in the city and live among those scholars, friend of his, then he would be just one of a thousand. He would just be one scholar among a thousand scholars. There would be nothing special about him. And yes, maybe eventually he would have gotten picked because he was smart and all that. But the chance of someone discovering him would be very, very small. So he chose to leave the city behind, leave all his scholar friends behind, and he went and lived among the farmers and peasants. And while the farmers were working their farms and the peasants were chopping trees and building and growing crops and raising animals, Zhuge Liang was spending his day playing his instrument in his yard, uh, practicing with his sword in his yard, reciting poetry, teaching local children. He was not the same. So this way, he stood out among his peers. Anyone in that village knew, oh, there's a Mr. Zhuge Liang. He's so smart. He must be the smartest man in the world. I mean, these farmers, they never went beyond their own village. They never left their farm. How would they know the whole world? But anyone who came by, if anyone was to come to the village, and then say, well, who is this Zhuge Liang? And they would be able to tell you, oh, Mr. Zhuge Liang is so smart. He knows everything. He must be the smartest person in the world. Not just that village. Zhuge Liang was put himself in such a remote location that he was basically the only educated person in the entire region. So not only he's the smartest person in that village, he was the smartest person in that entire region. Everybody knew about him. Okay, so that was the first thing he did on how to make himself really, really stand out as a prey, to be easy to discover. Number two, when he heard that the king of Shu wanted to come and hire him, now let's face it, a lot of us can be pretty desperate. A lot of us are saying, oh my God, the president himself is going to come to visit me and he's going to hire me. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh my God, yes, yes, I'm going to work for you. You haven't asked, but I'm going to say yes. Yeah, a lot of us going to think this way. But this is why we are not as smart as Zhuge Liang, right? Zhuge Liang knew that the king of Shu was going to come and hire him. So on that day, when the king of Shu was to visit, Zhuge Liang made sure that he wasn't home. He went out to visit a friend. He went out to go hiking with a friend, while the king of Shu was knocking on his door, and the entire village was excited because the king was here. Zhuge Liang was up on the top of the mountain with a friend playing chess. Totally didn't care. At least he seemed like he didn't care. Okay, so basically, his house servant, his servant, had to tell the king of Shu, "Oh, I'm sorry, but Mr. Zhuge Liang's not home. So, Your Highness, you'll have to come back later." And then the second time, the king of Shu came back, and Zhuge Liang again made sure that he wasn't home. He went out to treat someone's ailment. He went out to doctor someone. And so when the king of Shu came the second time, the servant said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but Mr. Zhuge Liang is so important and so smart and so important to everybody. He's out tending to someone who's sick today. So sorry, Your Highness, you'll have to come back next time." The third time the king of Shu came back, Zhuge Liang was busy taking a nap, and he instructed the servant not to wake him up. And he was taking a long leisurely nap, made the king of Shu wait outside for almost an hour before he finally got out of bed and went to talk to the king. So some of you would wonder, okay, so what is the point of all that? Well, the point is, if you come across as too eager, you got to realize the king of Shu had a lot of other smart people working for him as well. So it's not like Zhuge Liang would be the only smart person working for him. So if Zhuge Liang appeared too eager, and if Zhuge Liang was too easy to get, then he would again just get lumped in as one of the maybe 20 or 30 other tacticians, other ministers. And he wouldn't be anything special. But because he was so hard to get, because the king of Shu actually have to go out of his way to come back multiple times, there he had to put in effort. Okay, and so that made Zhuge Liang seem a lot more special in the mind of the king after that. So uh, immediately upon being hired, Zhuge Liang was placed in a higher position than anyone else because of how hard he was to get. Right? The same philosophy can be seen in how Apple market their product, right? Like if Apple wanted to, Apple could totally flood the market with, and you can just walk into 7-Eleven and buy an iPhone. But no, Apple make it difficult. Like you have to go to the Apple store, buy an iPhone. You have to do this and do that. You have to go through a lot of steps. And in countries like Taiwan and China, like they tell you we only sell 1,000 iPhones in China or 1,000 iPhones in Taiwan. Why is that? Because this way their products seem a lot harder to get and make them seem a lot more precious than what they really are. Action figure makers do the same thing. One of my favorite action figure makers, the Four Horsemen, for example, uh, they only sell their product on their website and a handful of other websites. You can't just walk into Walmart to get them. You have to get them like only from these limited location and always on very limited quantity. And this is why anytime Four Horsemen put out a word, tomorrow between 10 to 12, we are selling this figure. It's going to be $200 for this figure. And first come, first serve. If it's gone, it's gone. You won't ever see it again. You know what? A lot of people would think, no way, there's no way people are going to pay $200 for an action figure they never even heard of before. It's not even a Superman or Batman. It's just like a random action figure Four Horsemen dream up of. Like maybe they just got out of bed and painted something different. But you know what? Every time they do that, it sells out because people know if you miss it, you miss it. Like the chance of this become available again. It's so rare, so it's almost immediately a collector's item. And if you buy this, you'll have a chance to sell it for $1,000 several years down the road if you are careful, and if you know what you're doing, right? So it's not something that people can just walk into a Walmart or uh, uh, a Target to buy. No? A lot of the, like, Mattel and Hasbro and NECA, they sell their stuff and Target and Walmart and stuff like that. And so anyone can walk in there and buy them. But their stuff, as a result, are not as precious as a Four Horsemen action figure because of that. Now, if you just look at the composition of a Four Horsemen action figure versus, well, we won't count them against Mattel or Hasbro because that's just like not fair. But okay, let's take something a little bit high end. Let's take NECA, right? You take a NECA versus a Four Horsemen action figure. A lot of time, the NECA figure is actually better, in my opinion. Because NECA's action figure actually bigger, cheaper, and come with more accessories and easier to acquire, but still they are not as precious or sought after as Four Horsemen action figure because they are too easy to get. So that is the trick of making yourself into that interesting prey for your prospective buyers, employers, customers, client, is to create a vacuum, create a need, create a demand, and then you jump out and fulfill that demand when they come looking for you. Okay, so number one, if you want to be cherished, if you want to be precious, but and in the eyes of your boss, your client, your customer, don't be that eager chihuahua. Okay, don't just jump up and start humping their leg, or don't just bend over and give them your butt. Okay, be that precious, hard to get prey, and make them want you and make them work to get you. And trust me, they will really appreciate what you do when they finally get you to work for them. Number two, when you're dealing with your competitors, someone of your equal, someone who may be competing against you for your boss's favor, who may be competing against you even in relationships, someone who is competing against you for the attention of the same boy or girl. Okay, when you are dealing with someone who is competing against you, who is your equal, who is on the equal playing field, you want to be the mirror on the wall, the mirror on the wall. Okay? Now, some of you wonder, what does that mean? So, mirror on the wall, are you telling me that whatever my competition does, I should just copy because that's being a mirror? No, no, no. A mirror is good at reflecting yourself back to you. That's true. But if you look at what a mirror is, the mirror also magnifies any flaw you have in your character. Like when you look in that mirror, you can't hide it. You got anything wrong with you, that mirror going to show it. So be that mirror on the wall doesn't mean that you copy everything they do, but you want to focus in on their flaw and build on that and magnify their flaw. Okay, let me tell you guys something that is so simple. Like it's so simple in social psychology, but a lot of people forget this one. When you have a flaw, it is often very hard to overcome that flaw yourself, because that requires you to do a lot of actual work to change who you are, to overcome those basic flaws. But when someone else has a flaw and all you have to do is magnify their flaw to make yourself look better, that's actually quite easy. Okay? For example, right? let's say let's say me, Johnny Tiger, and George is competing for the attention of a same female. Okay, let's use that as an example. Uh, let's say George is short and I am fat. If I focus on, oh my God, I'm so fat. If I want this girl to like me, I should lose weight. That's going to take a lot of work. I can't lose weight like in a couple of days. It's going to take months and months of hard work and might not even work out after that, right? But if I focus on George being short, so anytime I get a chance, I'm going to make myself seem taller. I'm going to stand up straighter. I'm going to find chances to reach for that high shelf to get stuff in front of this lady that we're competing for. I'm going to find chances of showing this lady how I play basketball. I'm going to do activities with this lady where my height advantage will play into it. I don't need to change a thing. In this lady's mind, she will automatically think, "Oh wow, when I'm with Johnny Tiger, it's so easy. Like when he just uh he just reach up and pick things off the shelf. But when I look at George, when I'm with George, he had to go get a stool. When I'm with Johnny Tiger, I feel so safe and secure walking beside him because he's taller. When I'm with George, God, I feel like I'm dating my younger brother or my son." That's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, be that mirror. If you are competing against someone, rather than trying to overcome your own flaw, try to magnify their flaw like a mirror on the wall, because by magnifying their flaw, it will make you seem a lot more desirable in the eyes of uh, prospective buyers and clients, or your boss, or even that romantic partner. I'll draw you an example from a real life situation. Okay, a handful of years ago, there was a two advertisement campaign competing against each other, and it was Pepsi and Coke, like Pepsi and Coke, and both of them came up with their advertisement trying to outdo each other. And the one that Pepsi came out with, I don't know, some of you may still remember this. It's like this little kid who's at the uh, at the store shelf and trying to get soda, right? And this little boy reached up, and all he could reach was the Coca-Cola on the shelf. So he took the Coca-Cola and put it on the floor and stepped up on the Coca-Cola to get the Pepsi from the top shelf. And so basically, Pepsi in this advertisement was saying that, see, Coca-Cola is trash. All Coca-Cola good is good for is to be a stepping stone so people can get Pepsi. Yeah, you don't want Coca-Cola, you just step on it so you can get Pepsi. Now, when Coca-Cola came out with their advertisement campaign, it was a very masterful, very smart response to this very offensive Pepsi advertisement. Coca-Cola came out with the advertisement. In the beginning, it looked almost identical. Okay, in the beginning, it looked like, okay, this little boy going to the shelf and reach out to the shelf and grab a couple of bottles of Pepsi. But this time, the little boy put the Pepsi down on the floor and stepped onto the Pepsi and reached up and got Coca-Cola instead. So up to this point, it's basically like Coca-Cola is copying Pepsi, right? So like a lot of people watching this is like, well, what's the point? It's just they just copy each other. But then you look at the end of the advertisement. That's when Coca-Cola's really masterful control of their psychology really came through, because unlike the Pepsi advertisement, which just basically the little boy walking away with Pepsi in his hand and a couple of bottles of stepped on Coca-Cola on the floor. In the Coca-Cola campaign, the little boy, after getting his Coca-Cola, bent down, picked up the Pepsi bottles, wiped them clean, and put them back on the shelf. So what does that tell people? That tell people, hey, we know what Pepsi did. We know what Pepsi did. Like Pepsi make it look like we are only good for stepping on, and that's okay. That's okay. We are doing the same thing. We're telling you that you can step on Pepsi too, but you know what? We are at least nicer about it. Our kid is nicer than the Pepsi kid. Our kid actually picked the bottle off the floor and cleaned it up and then put it back on the shelf, not like the Pepsi kid. So rather than argue, hey, oh, Pepsi's offensive, we should sue them, or come up with all kind of argument and try to prove why Coca-Cola is better than Pepsi. Coca-Cola basically just tell you, look at how rude the Pepsi advertisement was. Look at how nice ours is, right? And by contrast, by creating that contrast, they were able to win people's heart a lot more than coming out being angry and stuff like that. Okay, so when you're dealing with a competitor, when you're dealing with a competition, be that mirror on the wall. Okay, take whatever flaw they show you. If they are rude, then you want to be extra nice. Yeah? If they are rude, then you're nice. You don't need to say anything. People will understand. Oh wow, that one is so rude. This one is so nice. So you're using their own flaw against them, right? If they are aggressive, then you want to be kind. Okay, then people will see, wow, that one is so aggressive, but we don't want to deal with that one. This one is so much kinder and more peaceful. Let's deal with this one, right? So don't fight fire with fire. Use their own flaw, use their own momentum against them. Be that mirror on the wall when you're dealing with competitions. Number three, when you're dealing with people who work beneath you, when you're the boss, when you're the supervisor, and you're trying to deal with all these people, all these underlings who hate your guts, okay? How do you deal with them? What should you be? When you're dealing with people who work for you, people who you need to work for you want to be their biggest fan. You want to be their number one fanboy. You want to be their number one cheer squad. You want to be their number one fangirl. This is counterintuitive because I know a lot of people going to think, wait. I am the boss. I pay their paycheck. Shouldn't they worship me? Shouldn't they be my number one fangirl, number one fanboy? Shouldn't they worship the ground I walk upon? No, if you are running a team, if you are a leader, this means, especially if you want to be a good leader, this means you need these people to do their job. You need them to do a good job so you can continue to enjoy your position as leadership, as a leader. And if you want them to worship you, if you want to hold the money, the paycheck over their head, what's going to happen is they will do the bare minimum. Okay, you will not get very good work out of them because you treat them like crap. You don't treat them with respect. They are not going to treat you with respect. Okay? If you pay me $5 to fix your to fix your toilet, if you pay me $5 to fix your toilet, and you treat me like just someone who you pay $5 to fix the toilet, then you know what? I am just going to fix the toilet. I'm not going to clean up after myself. I'm not going to show up early. I'm not going. If I get a cancellation, if let's say our appointment is Friday and I get a cancellation Thursday, I'm not going to call you and say, "Hey, I got a cancellation. You want to? I can book you in." No, I'm going to say, "Hey, I got a cancellation. I got a day off. I can go. I'm going to go drink some beer, and then tomorrow I can go fix that guy's toilet. The hell with him." Okay, if you treat your workers just like workers, they are not going to give you their loyalty. They're not going to give you their best effort. Basic child psychology. Okay, basic child psychology. If you want your child to do something for you can bully them, but that means they are going to hold a grudge, and they're not going to do a very good job. They might even sabotage your job. You can command them to go do it, like I'm your dad. Do what I say, you know, and they're going to do the bare minimum. They're not going to put their heart and soul into that job. You can try to use your sarcasm and say, I bet you can't even do that job. Well, that will work a couple of times. But you know what? After a couple of times, they are not going to fall for that either. But if you learn to be their number one fanboy or number one fangirl, hey, you know, I really like it when you make coffee for me. Like I don't know what you do to the coffee, but man, you make the best freaking coffee in the world. Like I I I I have a lot of people that make coffee at work, but no one make coffee like you do. So like it's so special. I don't know what you do to the coffee, but it's so freaking good. It's better than Starbucks. Like why don't you open your own store? Like, if you open your own store, I'm going to come buy your coffee every day. You go like this, trust me, the person going to get up at 5 every morning to make coffee for you, right? But if you say, hey, go make coffee for me, yeah, good luck with that one, right? So if you want true loyalty, if you want undying loyalty, if you want people to really pour their heart and soul into working for you, into working with you, then use that. Pay them compliment. Some people say blow smoke up their asses, but okay, blow smoke up their. Be their fan. Be their biggest fan. The more of a fan you can be, the better of a fan you are, the more of a good job you will get out of them, because everyone like to be complimented on their effort. Everyone like to be acknowledged, and the more you compliment them, the more you acknowledge them, the more they'll try hard to make sure they do not disappoint you. So today I showed you three things to do in the workplace. Okay, the three type of people you deal with in the workplace and how to deal with them, behave and act different depending on who you are dealing with. When you are dealing with someone who is the higher position, like a boss or client or customer, be the prey, not just any prey. You don't want to be the rabbit or the raccoon or the squirrel. Okay, you want to be that rare prey, that prey that they've always wanted and is hard to get. When you're dealing with someone who is a competition, a coworker who's your equal, who's competing for your job, be the mirror on the wall. Be like the mirror. Rather than trying to change your own flaw, trying to correct your own flaw, take their flaw, magnify it in front of everybody, and you will seem a lot better by contrast. When you're dealing with people who work for you, people who you rely on to do the work and work with you, then you want to be their number one fan. You want to be their biggest fan, blow smoke up their asses, and pay them compliment, pat them on the back, cheer them on, and you will notice that their work efficiency goes through the roof. I hope this will help someone somewhere. If not, at least it was worth a listen and somewhat entertaining. Thank you for checking out today's episode, and I'll be back again tomorrow for some Music Monday. For now, have a good night.